G'day guys, welcome to another edition of This Week in Footy. I'm John Donohoe, he's Peter Saros. The cricket's over and the footy's back and we're very excited, and all kicks off with Pete's mob, and he wants to talk the Tigers up here because he reckons they're going to have a big year. MCG, Thursday night, go.
I think we have a big year. We have the potential to have a big year. Whether we do it or not is another thing. Richmond take on Carlton, obviously, at the G. And been an interesting one over the last few years because Richmond don't seem to play very well against Carlton at all. Very slow starters. And it's not just that, we just don't seem to play well against Carlton. Carlton usually get over the top of us. It's going to be an interesting match to see where the Blues at and where the Tigers are at. Tigers probably looked a bit better over the NAB Challenge than what Carlton did, but again, anything can happen come round one. It's a tough one to pick.
I've said to you over the last few years, I never really know where Carlton are at. Same this year. I can't pinpoint what they need to do, what they need to improve on, but they always manage to get a number of wins under their belt. I don't see them making finals, but they always tend to play pretty well against Richmond, so this could be a belter. I'm tipping Richmond. I reckon Richmond are in for a big year this year. I know you're happy to hear that.
I am.
So I reckon the Tigers are going to come out full, all guns blazing, and take the chocolates here. I just think footy's back. They'll want to make a statement at the MCG first up.
Well, I'm hoping they do. Moving on to Brisbane Collingwood at the G. At the Gabba.
The Gabba.
They're playing at the Gabba.
They're playing round one at the Gabba, and it's Dane Beam's return against his old side, so it could be very interesting.
That's right. They're playing at the Gabba, and it's going to be an incredible match, in my opinion, only because both sides don't look that great. I don't know what it is, but Collingwood don't seem to me that they're going to be pushing for finals, and Brisbane seem more improved than last year and will be making the push. So I think that they're going to be around about the same level. So I reckon it's going to be a hell of a clash, only because they're around about the same, the same sort of side.
Yeah, I agree with you. I reckon, and I wrote an article a week ago saying I'm not sure really that it's do or die now for Collingwood, because if they don't make finals this year, it could spell the end of Nathan Buckley. They've brought in Levi Greenwood, but he's subsequently injured himself. Travis Cloke needs to have a really big year. Dane Swan's the fittest he's ever been, and they've had a few issues now with the two young fellas, Josh Thomas and Lockie Keefe, unfortunately embroiled in the drug saga. It all might be falling apart a little bit for Collingwood, but you never forget that they're a very talented side, they're a very well-coached side, and they'll come out and defy the odds. But up at the Gabba, I reckon the new look Brisbane will be good, will be too strong. Beams, Rockcliffe, Rich, Aish, Christensen. I think this could be a big year for Brisbane. I reckon they're shooting up the ladder, and they're only a few years away from playing finals, I reckon finals is more of a next year sort of thing. I think they're one step before the finals, but I think they're going to make a big impact come 2015. Melbourne take on Gold Coast at the G. Lots of intrigue about this one. Will Ablett play? Won't he play? I think he will. I think the early word out of the Gold Coast is he'll return for this game in round one.
I'm hoping Melbourne show a lot more than what they did last year. I think they've got the potential to get a few more wins on the board. They're not going to be making finals. They're not going to be playing finals. We know this. But to get a few more wins on the board and to get more into games, so they're not an easy beat side that, yes, they might lose, but at the same time they're in all of the clashes, and I think that's what Melbourne need to really strive for. And Gold Coast, I think finals should be the minimum. Absolutely. I think it's about time they make the 8, and I think they have the chance to really hit hard come September.
I agree. I think this is also Gold Coast's year. I think that they're going to finish in the 8 this year, and if they don't, it'll be a real mistake, because they've been in the competition long enough now. Their kids are developing really nicely. They've got a really good list, and if they don't make the finals this year, there could be a few issues there. They've already got a new coach in Rodney Eade, so they'll be well coached. Blokes like Tom Nichols are coming back from injury. They've got a really good list, and I'm really excited to see. They brought in Nick Malcheski, who's going to bolster that back line to no end. So this is Gold Coast year, I'm telling you. And for Melbourne, they've got Lumumba, they've got Garlett. Can they jump up the ladder a little bit further? I'm not sure this year, but I think they're going in the right direction. They've recruited well enough. They brought in young Sam Frost, so they're ready to go. But I think it's going to be another tough year for the D's.
I think they'll jump up a little bit, but not to a point where they're going to be anywhere near finals.
We both tipping the Gold Coast.
We're both tipping Gold Coast.
Lovely.
Bulldogs take on the Eagles at Etihad now.
Good game this one could be.
No, it won't be. Bulldogs are going to probably, in my opinion, get demolished. I think they're going to be last. I actually think the Bulldogs are going to end up below St Kilda this year. I think St Kilda will end up like second last, and it'll be the Bulldogs.
It's a big call, but you
Big
might
call.
not be you might not be far off.
They've lost a lot.
Griffin, they lost Cooney.
And they're big losses. I know a lot of people.
They're a young side.
A lot of people don't give Cooney a bit of slack, but let's be honest, he is a genuine player, and he had a good year last year. He didn't have a standout year, but he had a good year. And Griffin's a huge loss. I think that the Bulldogs are just a little bit...
lost Liberatore as well to an ACL season ending, so
that's right.
That's a huge loss in the midfield there for them. They're a young midfield now, and the only veterans they've really got on the side are Robert Murphy, the captain, and Boyd. And now blokes like Hunter and Dalhouse are really going to have to stand up for them to do anything this year. The Dogs, they've got a lot of potential, but there's too many young fellas on that list. I tend to agree with you. It'll be a tough year for the Doggies. For the Eagles, it's all about whether they can travel well this year. They haven't travelled well in the last few years. Away from home, they don't tend to play very well. I think they'll win this one at Etihad, though, first up.
I think the Eagles need to make finals. They have a list which is capable of doing it, and they haven't done it in the last few years. After making the finals a few years back now, I think they have the potential to push for finals. So Bulldogs should be definitely a win for them come round one.
Yep.
Now, moving on to Sydney Essendon.
Lots of intrigue around this game after the Bombers have finally been cleared of any wrongdoing. So their players are going to come out all guns blazing.
You'd hope so, but they haven't had a proper run. They haven't had a hit out. So they could be rusty come Sydney.
And Sydney are looking to avenge that loss against Hawthorn, so they'll want to make a statement round one as well. So this could be an absolute belter up at ANZ Stadium.
I think the Swans will get on top of Essendon, but at the same time, no, Essendon obviously a lot of those players are going to be fresh. They could run over Sydney. We don't know. Well, we never know, but I think Sydney will win.
I think it could be a closer encounter than people think, but I think Sydney in the end will get on top of them by 3 to 4 goals. Just the likes of Kennedy, Jack, Goods, Hanbury, Franklin and Tippett. I just think their catalyst's too strong for the Bombers. Obviously the Bombers missing Dyson Heppel with a knee injury, and Joe Watson's, as we said, underdone as well. So it could be a tough task for the Bombers, but I think they'll be going out there with a lot to prove, and it could be a really close encounter there. So we'll move on to Sunday. Adelaide are taking on North Melbourne, and probably two of the most inconsistent sides in the competition, and they're playing off of round one. So.
Well, I think North, if they're going to be a genuine finals contention, I think they're going to be a top 4 contention. I think they need to beat Adelaide. They need to get that win on the board. Adelaide, they missed out on finals last year when they probably should have made finals. So, again, tough one to pick. North Melbourne should win, in my opinion.
I agree. I think North, and I've tipped North for a big year as well. I've tipped North to finish in the top 4, and they came close last year. They got to a prelim final. They did really well. They brought in Jared Waite and Sean Higgins. They're 2 big ins for North, and that should bolster their side. They're going all out. If they don't win a flag in the next 3 years, all heads could roll. But who knows? All right. Next game, big game, probably the game of the round. St Kilda GWS at Etihad Stadium. Both teams may be vying for wooden spoon honours this year, but at least one of them is going to get off to a ripping start. And I hope it's St Kilda.
It won't be, but
you don't think we're going to beat GWS?
I don't think you can beat GWS. I think GWS are going to be way too improved. They're going to. I actually think GWS are going to get a lot more wins than what you think they're going to get.
I do as well.
I think they're going to get. I reckon they could strive between 8 and 10 wins.
I think, and
that's what I think. That's what I genuinely think.
You read something I wrote last week, and I had GWS improving vastly. They've brought in Griffin. Jeremy Cameron's an absolute jet. Treloar, their kids are developed a lot quicker than a lot of people think. Probably not a finals chance just yet. They're still probably 2 years off that, I would have thought, but they're moving on up. But St Kilda at the same time, a few promising signs. It's going to be another tough year for the Saints. We all know that. I'm excited to see McCartan. I'm excited to see Membry, and I'm excited to see the likes of Loney and Goddard as well, if they all play. Rewald will be a big in for the Saints. If Montagna plays, the experience is there. So, the experience is there for St Kilda. It's just a matter of executing it, and I think they can get the job done against GWS.
I disagree. I not just because you barrack for St Kilda and I like giving you rubbish. I actually think GWS is a little bit above St Kilda at the moment. Freo take on Port Adelaide at Subiaco. Sorry,
It's be a cracker.
It's going to be a good one because Freo, lost the grand final a couple of years back. Been in top 4 for a while Port showed a lot of improvement last year. And they really made a run and almost knocked Hawthorn off in the end as well.
Absolutely.
Almost knocked them off. I think Port have jumped above Freo, but at the same time, you can't write off the Dockers.
Well, it's do or die for Freo for me now. They had their chance in 2012. They didn't get it done. In 2013. They didn't get it done. They had their chances last year. They went out in straight sets. They're too well coached and they got too good a list to not be a premiership chance. But I'm telling you what, if they don't do it this year, it could be a long time before they do it again. Their ageing list, McFarlane's on his last legs, Sandilands is on his last legs, and Pavlich. They've got Fife, they've got Barlow, they've got the talent there to do it. But I tell you what, if they don't do it this year, it could be a long road for Freo. And Port, they're just going up. I've tipped them to win the flag this year. I think it's going to be a big year for Port Adelaide. If they can keep their big players on the park, it's going to be huge. Robbie Gray, Travis Boak, they just work together all as a team, and they'll be the best running Southern comp this year.
I agree. I think they're going to hopefully make the grand final. I tipped North Melbourne Port Adelaide grand final, which a lot of people didn't think.
It's an interesting one.
It is an interesting one. I think Hawthorn will make it fourth, and I think Sydney will make it third. I think that's the top four.
There you go.
My opinion.
Final games on Monday, and it does involve Hawthorn. Hawthorn Geelong, Easter Monday. And these two traditional rivals, obviously, so this could be an absolute belter as well.
They're always good games. They're always within 10 points or under a goal. Tough game to pick. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. I really wanted to be, but unfortunately I won't be there. But I will watch it at some point on the TV. I'm working. Work sucks. But, Hawthorn take on Geelong, and I think the Hawks will get on top, but only just. I reckon it'll be a 3-point margin.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking the same, but Geelong, and they're saying Geelong could have a tough year. Don't write off Geelong because they're as good as ever, and they've brought in Mitch Clark and they've brought in Reece Stanley, and I tell you what, this could be another resurgence for Geelong. They're not going anywhere in a hurry, I'll tell you that. And if Mitch Clark and Tom Hawkins can get going, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. And Nakia Cockatoo looks an absolute belter. I think the Hawks might get this one though. I think it's going to be within a kick as well. I'm agreeing with you there. So this could be an absolute belter. Tell you what, mate, it's good to have Footy back, all right? That's all we got time for today. I'm glad Footy's back. He's glad Footy's back. Go Saints. Go Tigers for him. And until next week, good luck to your team. We'll see you then.